up, Whitey Nerdigans? This is the one and only Pack Girl 89, and today's Anime Nerdigan live reaction video is going to be for Black Clover Season 2, Episode 54, titled Never Again. And we are officially in the Queen Witch of the Forest arc. And you know what that means? The opening song has changed for it. Not the song itself, but animation-wise. So before we get to the episode, we gotta talk about it. So where really starts to change is at the 2-minute 40-second mark, where we get to see some of the greatness with Asta versus Landros. I'm so happy because it looks so beautiful, and I swear to God, this better look like this in the anime studio period. Oh my God, and like the shot in between, or the transition shot in between Asta versus Landros and Fauna versus Noelle. Beautiful. And the song, you know, I gotta say this, the opening song, when I first heard it, you Nerdigans know I kind of wasn't feeling it. But man, with the sequence here in particular, oh my God, it really fits it. It is beautiful. Oh, Noelle's water dragon looks so gorgeous, and oh, it's seeing Fauna crying. Oh my God, it looks so amazing. Oh my God, I'm so excited to see this scene animated. Oh my God, it better look at least this good, Studio Period. Oh my God, you better not let me down. There's Mars, very good. Oh my God, Mars looks so much better in the opening song. Oh my God, it makes up for that. Oh, it makes up for that shit, that shitty looking Mars at the end of last week's episode, and fuck at the end of the recap. But oh my God, I gotta tell you, Nerdigans, this opening song fits so much better with this sequence here. Oh God, I really love it. It's beautiful. It's the feels right now, especially with the tears coming out of Mars' eyes, and also Mars. It's just, oh God. I swear the animation better look this good when we get to those fights, or I'm gonna really hate life. Okay, so first off, the title of this episode, Never Again, is the same title as at least one of the chapters we're adapting this week, chapter 80 of the manga, but I want to talk about this 3-minute 21-second mark first. We have this scene of Fujilion here, and I'm wondering if Studio Period did this for us manga readers, because if you are not caught up with the manga, I am going to be revealing a major spoiler right now. Because recently Fujilion has woken up from his slumber and has been given the salamander, and oh my God, Fujilion is just Fujilion in the manga right now. Oh man, well we haven't seen him in like a few chapters recently, but goddamn Fujilion. So wondering if Studio Period is doing it for us manga readers. I know Studio Period's trying to suck up to us manga readers because of the shittiness that was oh my God, of Vengeance's Scar. I don't care what you tell me, that Scar animation was shit. You could give me all the crap in the world you want, and art, defend it all you want. That Scar animation was shit. Anyway, let's keep going here. I gotta say this, I don't know if I'm like breaking any ground with how Studio Period is doing their animation, or if they're watching my content or something, but is it just me, or is there a lot more line work going on up in here, and a lot more detailing? Because man, the animation just looks so much better. Yami actually, first of all, Yami looks like Yami. I'm not talking about like the character design specifically. I'm talking about the buildings. I'm talking about the background. It looks beautiful. there's a lot more detailing going on up in here. It's beautiful. And I'm not just talking about detailing. I'm talking about, it looks like the buildings, and I did notice it last week as well. It looks like the buildings actually have texture. This is nice. This gives me hope. It gives me hope for you, Studio Period. Like, there's more texture in the bricks of the doctor's office than there are in the manga. That is a good thing. Oh my God, I think Studio Period's trying to prove me wrong. They're trying to prove to me that they can actually do texture. This is awesome. Okay, here's where I'm having issues. I think it's just hilarious that Studio Period's given us more texture and detailing in the buildings than they are with the actual character. So, like, look specifically at like the 4-minute 20-second mark. I'm talking about Dr. Owen's hair. His hair, there's not enough texture up in there. Lack of line work in the characters is definitely a huge issue with or I should say the story of Studio Period's animation. That's just been a huge problem with Black Clover and just in I think with Tokyo Ghoul with Tokyo Ghoul Re as well. The forehead I would say is actually accurate. The eyes actually look okay. Let's see how else we're doing here. Okay, I want to talk about the water recovery magic, and this is at the 5-minute 15-second mark. Here's the problem I'm having with it. Like, I do love the color palette. The color palette for it is so perfect. I love it. But the problem is that because there's not, if you look in the manga, you see how there's like all this different line work for the separation, the separation of it, so it doesn't look like a blob. Yeah, there's none of that going on up in here. I mean, there's like minimal line work going on up in here, and you know, I'm double checking here to make sure I'm not wrong about this, but to me, it looks like a freaking blob. It does not look like what I'm supposed to be seeing. It's really freaking annoying. And it's sad because it could look so cool. I feel like it's halfway there, if that makes any sense. And for those of you that are just like, well, what the hell are you, like, why are you complaining about this is Studio Period? You should be expecting this kind of shit. And you know what? Yeah, I should be expecting this kind of shit because this isn't the first time I've seen this kind of crap. But the thing is this is in-house. I think this is in-house. The animation's in-house this week. And that's really disappointing because the last time I've seen elemental magic animation this bad, I would say was when Studio Period outsourced it. So what the hell? Come on, guys. You're supposed to be better than this. And something I think that, now that I'm thinking about it, that would help. And this is like, I'm looking at it at from the 5-minute 15-second mark to the 5-minute 20-second mark. I think the color palette, I thought the color palette wasn't the problem. I think it actually might be a little bit of the problem. Because this is supposed to be water magic, right? And I feel like the color palette they chose is extremely one note. Like, you would think it would be more luminescent looking, and it's not. It looks just like bubbles. Like flat, it looks like plain bubbles. It does it or not. It looks like bubble foam. That's the term I'm thinking of. It looks like bubble foam. It doesn't look right at all. It doesn't look like it has that much shape to it. And I think if it looked more translucent, if they would have went with the Studio Period would have went with the translucent color palette, I think that would have helped. Oh, before I forget, speaking of the 5-minute 20-second mark, we got to talk about ASTA'S arms here. I'm going to say this, like the texture we're seeing in ASTA'S arms is actually the same kind of texture I was looking for last week with Vengeance's face. Remember when we got Vengeance took off his mask and we saw the scars, like, and I was talking about, like, some of the texture underneath the scars. That's what I was kind of looking for. But, yeah, yeah, now we got the opposite problem here, where, like, the scar marks are missing, but the texture is here. It's weird. I don't know what the hell's going on, Studio Perry. Like, you got the opposite issue from what we had last week, where last week the scars were there, even though they were animated terribly. Or, you know, the designs were completely wrong, but we didn't have the texture. But this week, the texture's here, but, like, the actual marks are not even there. Like, what the hell? But I will say this, Studio Perry, you are utilizing your soundtrack this week. So far, the soundtrack is so whimsical. I love it. Thank you. You are at least utilizing the soundtrack so far. And this has been a huge problem of theirs. Is they've been very Studio Period has been very inconsistent when it comes to utilizing their soundtrack. So far so good. Something else that I don't know what it is with Studio Period, but this is nothing new. And this is even not just the studio that they're outsourcing to. This happens in-house as well, as they cannot animate, they can't adapt nose animation very well. I don't know what it is, but I don't think Tabata's, some of the noses I can understand, because some of Tabata's noses are weird, but this, for Owen, Dr. Owen's nose is not that weird looking, so I don't understand why they're not drawing Owen's nose correctly. Oh, the nose at the 6-minute 4-second mark is just bad! Oh, oh! It looks so bad! That is not Dr. Owen's nose! It's not, and also, like, just a little bit before that, when Fimroll saw the recovery magic, yeah, there was not enough volume going on up in there. Yes, I know it's silent here. I know it is. I know it's silent in the, there's no dialogue in the manga here. But, really, you're not gonna do anything cool with the animation? You're not gonna do anything cool with the soundtrack? Like, at least do something cool with the animation to set the tone. I mean, that would have been, like, because, yes, like, the facial expressions match the manga, because that's what it is, but, like, do something else with the animation, like, change the color palette to reflect, like, the somberness of what's being said. Come on, be creative here, Studio Period. You could have done something so cool with that. You could have done, like a negative, what David Productions would have probably done, with this scene, if this was, Captain Tsubasa 2018, they probably would have done some negative contrast or something. It would have been really, really cool looking. Or they probably might have utilized their soundtrack here and done something like really, really sad. I mean, come on. I know I'm comparing I know it's David Productions. And David Productions is a lot more innovative and creative and shit. But, I mean, I just want you nerdigans to understand, like, why I'm kind of annoyed, because this is, like, something that would have just really taken this episode to another level, at least for me, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not a complete purist when it comes to manga to anime adaptations. I just want something more. I wanted some innovation. Like, come on. I'm sorry, I have to mention this, and this is like at when Magna. When Magna does this fight at the 7-minute 36-second mark, I'm sorry, compared to what I saw Linden Films do in Karakuri Circus last week, that is not fucking fire. What Linden Films did in Karakuri Circus last week, that is goddamn fire. Yay, they got the look! They got the adorable, you see up here, you got my baby looks, adorable look. You got it right, but I will say this, as beautiful as the sunset is looking in the background, like, where's the comedic backgrounds? Like, come on, utilize the backgrounds more. Again, as beautiful as this background, the sunset is, it's like, where's the comedic backgrounds? Where's the cuteness for where's his cuteness background? god, I love Luck. I love him so much. He's just adorable. He deserves more than this. Yes! Oh, I was waiting to see that scene animated when, you know, Noelle's asking, and this is like right at the 9-minute, a little bit before the 9-minute mark, when like when Noelle's like, well, I guess you can't use your arms now, Asta. I guess I could feed you. And Asta's like, I've learned how to feed myself with my feet. I was waiting for that shit to be animated. It's amazing. Oh my god, I love it so much. Thank God. Thank God. Starting at like when they're just starting to do their secret technique stuff, and like in particularly at the 9-minute like 39-second mark, this is like perfect filler stuff. It works. And yes, I don't like filler. I don't, but like this is where it actually works. And I think Tabata left it like that in the manga for that kind of reason. Yes, the crackling magna typhoon is my favorite. I love it, Studio Period. Okay, so here we go to the actual, when we're getting the actual dialogue. Because again, I understand why it was silent in the first place. Because we got the reveal later on about Asta's condition. And this starts like at the 11-minute 29-second mark. But I still wish the animation would have been, you know, a little bit different. But here, yeah, the soundtrack is starting at the 11-minute 29-second mark. We're getting the dialogue now. The soundtrack is nice for the most part, but I mean, do something different with the visual, with the style of the animation. Do like cinematic flashback. Make it more mute the color palette at least. Like, you know, the color palette we had for when we did or when Studio Period did Vengeance's flashback, for example, last week. That is what I'm talking about right there. This is come on. This is not cool, man. At least mute the color palette, Studio Period. This is some bullshit. The color palette is way too bright for this kind of scene. It is way too bright. I don't understand why you went with this. Because yes, I know you Nerds are going to be like, Packer Girl, they did change the color palette. They went brighter. I don't understand why you went this way, Studio Period. That was stupid. Considering the tone of the situation, you should have went with the more depressing color palette. This is ridiculous. I don't understand why you went this route. Like, you see this color palette that they went with at the 11-minute 48-second mark with Veto, which I will say this, Veto actually kind of looks like Veto here, which is kind of nice. You see how they did that animation style? They did it really grainy looking, and to signal out, you know, to for the tone of the curse and shit like that. Why couldn't you go like that route? Yeah, not orange and shit, but I'm talking about like a more cinematic, like a darker tone of color palette. I don't know how to describe it. It's just really frustrating me right now that you went with this bright color palette. This pisses me off so much. I want to point this out here, because now we're with ASTA'S content, and oh my god, the animation for like ASTA'S staring out is just, first of all, that's gorgeous, and then Studio Period, this soundtrack is goddamn amazing. But you notice that muted color palette here for this flashback? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I wanted. At least it makes more sense. Especially for this, because this is for a cinematic flashback. But like, I just kind of wanted something more depressing looking for the reveal for Asta finding out that he won't be able to use his arms. Like, I just don't get it, Studio Period. See this going on here? This is like at the 13-minute, like a little bit after the 13-minute 30-second mark, between there and the 37-second mark. Where was this earlier? Oh my god! Studio Period, like, what the fuck, man? Oh my god, makes me mad. It really makes me mad because this is the kind of thing I wanted earlier. But like, just minus the shit earlier with the flashback animation, this episode is freaking awesome. This is exactly what I'm looking for. The soundtrack is, I think this is the best the soundtrack's been in a while, for sure. ASTA'S voice actor is goddamn fantastic. He's the way he's saying his lines right now are exactly as I pictured him sounding like in my head, especially because I think I remember correctly. This is when I started doing Black Clover live reactions. It was around this time actually. So this is just like this is really amazing. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry right now because this is so. Part of me is like really pissed off about earlier, but this is so beautiful right now. This is what I wanted. So at the 14-minute 32-second mark, we finish up chapter 80's adaptation of the manga, and we're going to be going into chapter 81's adaptation in a second. But I gotta let me give you my thoughts on chapter 80, and then I'll go into it. Minus the a little bit of the stuff from the beginning, it was perfect. It had everything I wanted. I will say this. The writing was freaking fantastic. I love the writing. The filler that we got was perfect. The only thing that bugged me animation-wise, which I gotta say the animation is really stepping up a bit, and it's getting me really, really excited, is I just wish that when Finral, we had, the initial overhearing of ASTA'S diagnosis, when it was silent, I wish there would have been a little bit more overshadowing, like with visually, because it would have looked really, really cool. And then the other thing that I wish they would have done, and it would have just been really cool, is I just did not like that when we heard the diagnosis, or not, diagnosis / prognosis. I hated that how bright the color palette was. It just did not fit with the scene. I thought it was just so inappropriate. Like, come on. At least give us, at least mute the color palette a little bit. One, you should have muted it a little bit. If you would have done, what would have been a really good, thing for me, what would have been better is if you would have done what David Productions did for what one was I thinking of in particular, I think it was one of either Hyoga's flashbacks or Misaki's flashbacks, where it was black and white kind of thing, or hell, even do what you did later on in the episode with some of the other flashbacks, where the colored palette was a lot more depressing and more cinematic looking. Fuck, you could, if you would have just darkened the blue color palette and made it more cinematic looking, it would have looked so much better, and it would have worked so much better as well. But other than that was my main issue, was that. Other than that, the first part of this episode was great. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for being really nitpicky about this, but it's just, it frustrates me because, you had the thing that I wanted for this scene, later in the episode, and it's just you could have put it earlier! What the hell? And the other thing I gotta mention, and then we'll go into chapter 81's adaptation, is I just think it's funny that the detailing and the texture from ASTA'S arms, the scars, which is what Vengeance needed last week for his scars and shit, that was missing. But the thing that ASTA'S arms were missing, the actual burn curse marks, were missing on his arms. I just think that's funny as fuck. Anyway, let's get to chapter 81's adaptation now. Oh my god, the Forsaken Realm, where Magna and Luck are at, and this is at the 15-minute, 54-second mark, or a little bit before that. Oh, the Forsaken Realm looks beautiful. Oh my god. Oh my god, the 16, or I said 15, I'm sorry. I was right. the 16-minute, I was wrong before. I meant the 16-minute mark, not the 15-minute 50 mark, whatever. So from like the 16 minutes to the 16-minute 6-second mark is what I'm really talking about for the Forsaken Realm. Oh my god, it looks beautiful. I love it. This is, oh god, this gives me hope for this arc. Studio Period, you better not let me down on this arc. Woo! So, we got some negative contrast up in this episode. I guess Studio Period must be either watching some Captain Tsubasa 2018 or listening to me on what I want, because we're getting some negative contrast. It's nice. Where was this earlier, motherfucker? The cinematic flashback. The cinematic flashback animation here is so beautiful. Where was this earlier? Where was this? First of all, where has this innovation been all fucking season, for one thing? Where have you been all season? Or I should say all anime. Because this is season 2, not season 1. Where have you been? Also, where has the soundtrack been all freaking anime? This soundtrack is goddamn gorgeous. Like, this is beautiful. Where have you been, Studio Period? What? Also, why haven't I seen any? Well, I dropped Re, but I've seen like clips and shit. Where's this in Tokyo Ghoul Re? Like, I have to wonder this. But seriously, Studio Period, I have to wonder if you never outsourced Black Clover. Is this the Black Clover anime we would have gotten if you never would have outsourced it? I'm really starting to wonder this. I'm curious. Would have this been the Black Clover anime we would have gotten if it was never outsourced? Want to know your thoughts about that in the comment section. 19-minute 26-second mark. There's the face. There's the face. And oh god, the soundtrack. Oh my god, the soundtrack is hitting me, man. It is hitting me in the feels. You want to know? You want to know why I look for a really good soundtrack. And why I beg studios to utilize their soundtrack is because of shit like this. It hits you in the feels, man. Really? Really? We're just gonna... No! That's not fair! So, basically, the end of the episode is, at, the first, page of, or a couple pages of chapter 82 of the chapter 82's adaptation of the manga. What I wish would have happened was if we would have ended with Vanessa, with the way chapter 81 was supposed to end, or how the episode should have ended with. That was the same way chapter 81 of the manga ended, with Vanessa going to the forest. That would have been so fucking cool. Would have been so fucking hype. And then you could have had the recap with the shit with the start of chapter 82 of the manga. Oh, that was a failure in the writing. That was a failure in the writing. That was the only thing that really fucking sucked about this episode, writing wise, because of that. Was that? Oh, you ruined it. But overall, I will say this: this episode for the most part was really, really, really perfect. Writing minus that little thing at the end. I hate that you did that at the end. That was fucking stupid. I don't like that you did that. That was dumb. That was dumb. Oh, you should have done that next week. That scene would have been just so perfect. Instead of having a recap, you should have just had that for the opening scene. It would have been perfect. But instead, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have instead, what will happen is Vanessa going to the forest. I think that's going to be the case. If that's the case, I will forgive you a pass for it, Studio Period. But let me give you my thoughts about this episode overall. Minus the stuff like during I would say the first portion of the episode. This episode was gorgeous. It was practically perfect. It's just, I just did not like that Studio Period didn't do anything with the animation for when Asta was getting initially, when we saw him getting diagnosed and it was silent. They should have done, Studio Period should have done something with the animation there. And I did not like the color palette for when we were getting the flashback to Asta getting the diagnosis. That really pissed me off. I did not like that. I did not like that color palette. That made me mad. The other thing I didn't like animation-wise was mainly the water recovery magic was like a blob, and at the scars on Asta's arms lacked what they lacked the actual marks. But other than that, like, oh, this episode was just. It was perfect it was perfect from then on. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, I want to know, like, as I said earlier, if Studio Period did not outsource Black Clover as much as they did, do you think this is the Black Clover anime we would have gotten? And I'm really starting to think this might actually be season 2 might actually be good. I'm really hoping that I'm hoping this arc is as good as good as this episode. You better not let me down, Studio Period. You're really hyping me up right now. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Nerdigans Inc. if you love what I'm doing and want to contribute to my channel expansion. There's a few ways you could do that. You can donate to my PayPal, Patreon, GoFundMe, purchase something off my Amazon wishlist. All that is in the description box below. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, friend me on PlayStation Network. All that's in the description box below as well. Till next time, Nerdigans, I will be seeing you later. Bye.